Hello and welcome to UK Versus. Today we are talking Nationals. Nationals is fast approaching, and I think that it's time we start talking about some of the characters that I expect to see rising up at Nationals. And there's one in particular I wanted to talk about because they're kind of flying under the radar at the minute. They didn't really show up at the webcam circuit, they've not really shown up in webcam events, and that is Overhaul. Overhaul was a very powerful character last year, showed up in a lot of Nationals, took down a couple of top cut spots, and was very, very powerful, and was kind of the deck you had to be prepared to beat in order to actually do well at Nationals. And I know personally, I took down a lot on my way through Nationals and then ended up losing 2-1 at Nationals, which ended my run. So it's understandable that this is a very powerful character that does take some time to set up. And this year, the meta has been a lot faster, it has been a lot more aggressive, and Overhaul hasn't really found his footing with the new Attack on Titan set and with the new lower decks. I think he may have now found a way to keep up with the aggressive format through the life gain aspects, as well as through some of the other things such as Outwit and a few other cards that have come. There are a lot more cards that now offer life gain or rewards for when you do life gain. So we've got Midst of Despair, we've got Liberating Headbutt, Last Second Rescue. These will heal you, they'll keep you alive, and can be used quite well with Overhaul because Overhaul can gain life when he knows his attack is going to hit, allowing you to set these off. This is a very powerful ability for them to have, and it's a very strong use of these cards. But the main card I want to talk about is Desperate Plea. Desperate Plea is a 1 cost 4 control 2 mid block that says after you block with a card, you may build it face up or face down for a flip cost. So with Overhaul, this gives you access to essentially putting one of your cards in the bank. You can keep very powerful cards in your hand, build them face down or build them face up, and then you can then utilize them throughout your turn. So being able to use the 1 mid block on vertical maneuvering equipment to block, then build it down and have access to that zone changing and speed abilities is very powerful. Same with Twisty Surroundings, being able to go, here's my 2 mid block breaker 2 that I can then build and have in play to make sure your strings end, or to just change the zones even further. Be able to block with Eri, build it in and go, now you don't get to kill me. Very strong, very powerful, and just allowing you to utilize these assets that you weren't quite really able to utilize them before. Same with attacks. Being able to block with attacks in your hands, be able to use maximum overhaul, or even if you're running the punch package, being able to block with a rejuvenating smash and then build down the rejuvenating smash so you have it then on your turn, allowing you to then play the rejuvenating smash. Very, very powerful, just giving you access to a lot of very cool attacks and be able to essentially bank them whilst getting more resources. So Overhaul being able to build one from hand every turn, block with a card, build it down, has access to a lot more cheat building, can rank up that stage very quickly, as well as basically putting cards away that they might want to use on a string. Perfect example would be Maximum Overhaul, which allows you to pick up 3 cards, and if you've been able to put 3 low-cost attacks down, you can then just go attack, Maximum Overhaul, attack, 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 because you've been able to store all these cards for later, and because they're face down, it's very hard for your opponent to be able to interact with those cards, find out where they are, and destroy them. But then you also got Outwit on top of that. Outwit being that needing a card to be face down, where then you flip it back to face up and commit it, or remove it in the case of injection, and gain the effects. One of the hardest aspects of playing Outwit is to make sure that you can get this into your stage face down. Overhaul completely takes that out. The first enhance you can do is go, boom, my injection is down. Now I don't die. That is very powerful, very strong, and very cool. Outwit has pushed Overhaul back into very relevant, and I think Overhaul, with all this life gain, with all of this aspects of how powerful he is going to be, is going to show up at Nats, and I don't think people are going to be quite as prepared for him as they were last year, because people are too busy looking at Kenny and Bird and all these other cards. Even Godzilla is now making his way to being meta relevant in America. How can you actually stop this? What can we do to be prepared for Overhaul? Jaw Titan attacks is a great example. When you get to play it down, you get the Jaw Titan, you can stop the health gain ability, you turn it off, which means you also stop the damage for Overhaul for one, and you make sure that they can't gain any health for the rest of the turn. So you can put Mitsu Despair on the back burner, you can stop them from being able to gain health, but you can't really stop Desperate Plea. You need things like Incredible Display, Evil versus Good, the things that can cancel responses that allows them to, that will force the card to stay in the card pool. Then they can just play it again. It's a very powerful combo. The only real way you can do it is either to outpace Overhaul and end the game before Overhaul can get set up, which is very risky. But risky decks have been doing their job. Casino decks have been kind of dominating. Fast meta destruction has been doing the runs. But Evil Overhaul has got some very good defense with things like Twisty Surning's Barrier Shield. I'm just saying, be aware of this character, be aware of this deck, be aware of these interactions that are coming at you. Overhaul is a very powerful character. Overhaul has flown under the radar at the moment, and I am expecting Overhaul to come back with a vengeance for Nationals, because these abilities are so powerful now. The ability to build down, the ability to keep flipping and being able to reuse your outwits, the ability to play cards that you've got face down, so you can use Desperate Plea, build down, Maximum Overhaul, Repeated Smash, Rejuvenating Smash. Any of these cards, Haymaker is one of my personal favorites, but most people don't play it. And then just be able to play it without progressive on offense or defense. And Desperate Plea even works double defensively, being able to go block, breaker 1, breaker 2, build it down. I'll play one for my stage, block, breaker 1, breaker 2. And your opponent goes, cool, yeah, you used one card to stop two of my attacks, and I wasted my resources. It's very powerful. The good thing about Overhaul is he does stop these stringers. He can survive against Godzilla. He can survive against birds. He can set up very quickly. And with how much draw power is now on these symbols and the way that cards interact with him, I think he's underrated. I think that he's going to slow the meta down on his own, and I think it's going to be an absolute pain to deal with, because he's set to arise from the shadows. He has been working, and I know there are lots of Overhaul mains that are going to absolutely love this. But yeah, do not sleep on Overhaul. He may have 27 health. He may not be as resilient as these Attack on Titan characters on face, but the amount of health gain that now exists on these symbols, the amount of health gain that he can get away with, I think that this is a character we will see a lot of, especially on Evil, especially when you can utilize Immortal Shapeshifter with him. You can even, if you're feeling really risky, use some things like Combined Firepower to get those damage even higher. There's a lot of new throws out there. It's hard to say what direction the deck will go in, but Life and Evil Overhaul are going to be very powerful, and the fact that Desperate Plea is attuned, which means it can be played on any main symbol as long as the character has that symbol, means that it will show up in all decks. And if you haven't tested or played against Overhaul, I would start now, because Overhaul is going to be an absolute nightmare. And if you're looking to top Nats, if you're looking to get that Worlds invite, then I would be 100% testing against Overhaul among the other characters, because Overhaul is an absolute nightmare and will just string out for days. They can easily launch 7-8 attacks in a turn, and it doesn't matter if you've got 34 to 40 health, Overhaul can take you down in a single turn once they're set up. Stopping that setup is very powerful, but Overhaul can counter it. He can keep building. Getting 2 foundations a turn, getting 3 foundations a turn, it's going to be very hard to stop Overhaul unless you can completely annihilate his board whilst not affecting your own. You need to be able to out-resource Overhaul, which is very hard. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Are you preparing Overhaul? Have I just blown up the strategy that a lot of people are going to be looking at that have been working in the shadows? Let me know. What characters do you think is going to turn up at Nationals? If I think they're interesting enough, if I can find enough data on them, I will do some more videos. And for those of you who are attending Nationals, best of luck and engage the core. Bye.